Hey traders, Raghee here, and in this video we're going to talk about some of the things that are on my radar for when we come back next week to take a look at the markets. Now, on a day like today, on this kind of holiday affected Friday, I really don't want to be doing a whole heck of a lot of active trading. In fact, I kind of have a gone fishing kind of attitude that if something doesn't look terrific, or at least giving you solid structure that's part of a repeatable pattern that you act on, you'll act on it on a Friday like this, a holiday affected Friday, or really any Friday, but with smaller size and for more conservative levels. So I'm already leaning towards a more conservative take. But let's talk about two markets in particular, three actually, that I'll be watching on Tuesday. And members, these will likely be alerts that we'll be seeing on Tuesday as well. So first of all, crude. Crude just collapsed yesterday, and I don't say collapse with any kind of hyperbole. I mean, when you look at the typical price movement range of crude, which is about 2.1 points or $2.10, we far exceeded that with the drop. It was above the 68% probability for price movement for a specific session, for one session. So as we kind of see the market sort of catching its breath down in here, I'm not going to be surprised if we see a little bit more weakness or maybe some more sideways action in this area. I mean, I'm not ruling that out at all. So if that's what we're going to see in that quieter price movement range, and I'd like to see each day below a $2 range, what I'm looking to do is build a long position via calls, either the CL or the USO. So the next thing that I'm looking at is the RBOB. RBOB gas, and this actually has a better look than crude. In other words, it didn't sell off to quite the depths. It didn't break the wave, the 34 EMA wave, quite as much as the crude oil market did. So we're kind of gathering in this area just above support, which seems to be setting up at 190. Okay, that's great. So again, what I want to see are some kind of narrow ranging candles in this area. And going into Tuesday, I'm looking to potentially buy. Now, what's the negative narrative right now? You know, what some part of your brain at some point is going to go, wait a minute, why is crude down? It isn't the global economy slowing down, and aren't all these terrible things? Sure, but I think what we've seen this week, throughout the week, not just today, although today certainly was a highlight of it, it's just some really excruciatingly low volume. So this isn't wide held opinion with big volume that we're seeing. It's actually very, very low volume. So I imagine if we're going to see a return to at least some sort of summertime doldrum norms of volume, it'll be Tuesday or after. And I don't believe that the stock market is done going down. In fact, many of you know from yesterday's video that I'm looking at zones just below where we are right now for potential S&P and NASDAQ buys, and gas and RBOB gas and crude would go along for the ride as far as I'm concerned. So these are things that are on my radar. Now, what about doing some stock picking? Because I will tell you this, when a market goes into chop, like we can see here on the S&P and on the NASDAQ for that matter, and on the Dow, when a market goes into chop, it really is time to get much more selective about the specific names you're looking at. For example, let's take a look at the Dow. There are three names in the Dow that are on my radar: Visa, McDonald's, and Travelers. So I'm looking for these to sell off into a zone that I can do something with. Take McDonald's, now crossing through the 21 EMA and maybe on its way down to the 34 EMA wave. I'd be looking for that combination plus a +1 standard deviation test down in here. That would be fantastic confirmation for a potential buy. And that's just one example of the kind of setups that I'm looking for more upside as we correct and then possibly move up higher. So take a look at your watch list. Take a look at its relation back to broader averages and some of the more widely held sector ETFs. Ask yourself, are they relative performance leaders? Do they look better than other stocks in that sector or average? Do they look better than the average itself? And if the answer to that is yes, then you've got a potential setup just like I've shown you here in this video. So I'll see you next week. Enjoy the long weekend, and we'll see you in the next update.